I get the battery leads or cables connected, I'm just going to make sure that the terminals here are clean, that are nice and clean and shiny. So I'm just going to give them a quick shot here with the die grinder. Okay, so any rust or oxidation on these terminal points, the die grinder with the grinding wheel will take care of that. And I'll do the same for the positive lead as well. Here's a good example. See how there's a lot of corrosion on it? That's where this is going to come in and clean that up nicely. See, watch. See, now we're right back to a nice copper, shiny looking metal. Okay, there you go. That's nice and shiny. So now, when we terminate the battery, we'll have good contact with the battery. So now what I'll do is I'll grab the battery. Here's the battery. A little bit of corrosion. See this here? See so here there's a little bit of build up here in the positive, on the positive terminal point. So I'm just going to take my knife and just chip that stuff out of there. Okay, so now let's install the battery. Okay. So this hardware is in really good shape. There's a nut and a bolt. Okay, but as you can see, here's the hardware for the positive. It's actually quite corroded, and there's not much of a nut left. So I'm going to have to go into my inventory and see if I can get another one of these. So I'm just using two 10mm wrenches, and I'm just snugging up the bolt that connects this battery lead to the negative. So I'll make sure that the key's on off here. I've been able to locate a nut and a bolt. These are stainless steel, so nice hardware for this kind of application. And we'll come in here and we'll do the same. We'll just terminate this. So I'll put this in here on this side, put that in over here, and then get the nut. Okay, and then just use a wrench, two wrenches here, and we'll snug this up so we have real nice firm contact on the terminal. Okay, and then when you're done, just reposition the battery terminal boot. That just prevents any inadvertent contact with the positive side. And there you have it. Let's just have a look to see how many hours are on this, well, not on the engine, of course, because the engine is brand new. So if I turn the key, we should be able to see how many hours are on the frame and other components. So I'll turn it once. Oh, 262.6. Not bad. All right. We can't start it because we don't have an oil filter, but what I can do is just fill it with oil. Okay, so now that we have the battery terminated, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna install the muffler shield. So, or reinstall the muffler shield. So remember this piece right here? This piece right here gets installed right down here in front of the engine. And that is to, I guess, protect the engine from the hot surface of the exhaust downpipes. So if you remember, this part just basically slides in like this, and it's held in place by 2 bolts on either side. And it just basically just sits there, just like that. Okay? So what I'll do, everything lines up fine. I'll just grab the 2, these are the 2 bolts. So you need to find these 2 bolts here. I think they're a number 10. No, yeah, number 10. We'll reinstall these. Actually, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna add a little bit of anti-seize on these, because in my experience, like over time, it's these bolts here related to the exhaust system that are challenging to remove after several years of use. They tend to get corroded and seized, and they break, and I don't want these ones to break. Okay, so I won't torque it down until I get the 2 in place first. Okay, there you go. There you go. There you have it. So, as you can see, the heat shields are in place, or the heat shield is in place, and I like that. What I was going to do is just do this, just so all that corrosion product is gone. Okay. Okay, so now that the heat shield's in place, the next thing, or one of the next things we have to do is reinstall the hood. But we have to remember that we have a termination, an electrical termination to do. This is to energize the headlights, so we have to make sure that we connect that. So I'll grab the hood and set the hood down here on the front. And I find that maybe the easiest way to kind of get this in place is to, set it down onto the tractor here. The wire, just make sure the wire's not in the way. There you go. So the tractor, the hood's now situated on the chassis. So now what I'll do is I'll just connect my headlights. There you go. And now we can close up the hood. There you go. Done. So there you go. That's going to be it for now. The next step we're going to have to do is just finalize the reinstallation of the deck. So we have to get the deck installed on the tractor and make sure that the drive belt for the blades is reinstalled on the PTO. So it's the next day here. We're back in the garage, and we're going to continue working on the John Deere D170 lawn tractor. So in the previous video, you saw me install the motor to the chassis, and I'm just going to cover two little minor things, and then we're going to get into reinstalling the deck. I'll show you how I go about doing that. So I'll just grab your attention down here. So for starters, there's a plastic port here where this port is essentially a place for any crankcase pressure to exhaust or to bleed off. So I didn't want to just leave that barb fitting just exposed without anything, without a line attached to it. So I just went into my inventory and I grabbed a piece of pipe or of tube that I had left over, and I made sure that it fit on nice and tight on the barb fitting right here. And then if you follow this line down, I tucked it in behind the fuel line and the throttle cable. And then the other thing that I really like is down here, I just put a tie wrap. I had a spare tie wrap that has a little connector that you can just attach to or put it into a place where there's a hole like this. So there was a hole right here in the frame, so I just pushed this tie wrap in place. So now the tube here, this rubber tube, is secure and it won't, it won't flap around or anything. So if there's any pressure or air buildup in the engine, instead of it just kind of like bleeding off and maybe coating the side of the engine with oil, assuming that's what's going to happen, now it'll depressurize, and any oil that gets entrained in that pipe will basically just drain out down here, and it won't coat the side of the engine, or it won't coat the side of the frame anymore. And then the other thing was this electrical termination in the back here. So yesterday when we hooked the wires up, there was this connection of basically a male and female. And after I looked over at the other John Deere, see over there I've got a John Deere D140. I just had a look at that one and the wiring on that tractor, and it turns out that this is how this was terminated. So I just have to make sure that the male and female of this black wire are connected here, and they have nothing to do with the engine per se. But nevertheless, I wanted to make sure that this was terminated and not left alone. So if you're relying on my video to help you plan or do an engine swap, it's a good idea not to leave any unterminated wires, because you don't want anything to spark or anything like that. So there you go. That brings us all up to speed on this part of the rebuild. So oh yeah, well, as you can see, I'm missing the oil filter. So this particular engine uses a quick disconnect oil filter, and I just found out that I can buy one of those at the big box stores like the Home Depot. So I'll go in and grab one of those at some point, put it on, fill the engine oil up in the engine, and then that part of the rebuild will be done, and we can cut grass once the weather improves. We're in here working on the garage, trying to get our lawnmowers ready so that when spring, summer comes along, we're going to be ready to get out there and cut grass. We're trying to get a head start so soon on that, especially when you look outside right now. It's been raining all day. It's more or less freezing rain here in Ontario. All the trees are covered with probably almost like a ½ an inch or maybe a ¼ inch of ice. So now we're going to get into the step where we're going to reattach the cutting deck to the tractor. Let's move the tractor over here to make some space to get the deck underneath. So I'm just going to take the deck and just slide it underneath. Wheels, more or less in the I have the deck where it should be in relation to the tractor. I'll go ahead and insert or install the belt onto the PTO here. I'll just loop that on, see? It just goes on like this. So do you see these metal bars right here? First thing I'll do here is that, do you see this? Yes. This little widget here. I have to get that up on there. I gotta get my hand underneath here. And then I just gotta lift this, make sure this pin gets put on top of that thing. So go like this, pull it out, and then just put that on top there like that. And then let's see, I have to get this, that has to go up on there like that. Okay, now I'll attach my washer and this spring clip. So it'll come down here. Okay, so I'll put that on, and then I'll come in here, and should be a hole here somewhere. Oh, there. Okay. Just push that down. There, like that. Okay, so that's in place. Okay, let's go do the same thing on the other side. So here I am on the other side now. Flip that up. See that there? So I have to get that up in there. So I'm ready. I'll just lift and then pop that on. Then I'll put my washer and then the pin. Okay, so that's done. Now I have to get, like, the back of the deck is up, but the front of the deck is down. So I need to find a way to lift it so it goes back. Maybe what I'll do is, maybe the trick is to take, actually not install the belt just yet. So let me try taking the belt off. By taking the belt off, I can push the deck all the way back, and then, oh yeah, see? Look at this, guys. So now with the belt off, now I can get this in place. So if I move the deck forward, I should be able to get that to connect. I just bring it forward. There, see? That's in, and then you take this small washer and this small pin, put a washer, and then there you go. I mean, if I want, I could maybe put it like this. Okay? We'll go do the same on the other side. Okay, that's done. Now let's see if we can get the main belt back on. And then after that's done, then we'll install the front pin here. Okay, so here's the trick. I've got the belt here in one hand. I'm just gonna put it back on the pulley. Watch your fingers so you don't get them stuck. There you go. So the belt is back on. The last thing we have to install, as you remember, is this bar right here that goes in the front of the deck, and it has this interesting spring pin, and that goes in right up here in the front. So this thing's a bit of a contortionist, so you just wiggle that in like so. As you can see, there's a conical washer right there on it, so that keeps it localized right here in this metal plate. And then here, this other end, you got to get it inserted here on the deck, there, like that. And then the final step is you just install this retainer clip, okay, on this side here of the pin. So I'll see if I can get to it from here. There you go. Push that on, and that's it. If you come over on this side, this is the deck height adjustment. There's a 1 to 4 inch cutting height. I lock the tractor in. Now, as you can see, now if I bring this up to the 4, this is the entire deck raises up. The belts still look good. There's no interference. And if we go all the way down, you know, down to number 1, everything looks good here. Okay. So that's going to be a wrap for now. Like I said, all we have to do is get our oil filter, install our oil filter, fill the engine with the appropriate oil, check the level, and then start the engine. I'll probably perform a very conservative engine break-in period because it's a brand new motor. I'll leave the engine run at idle for a little while, and then maybe I'll turn the PTO on and let it idle at slightly under load for a little while, so that the engine gets a good break-in before we start using it 100% for grass cutting. Welcome back. It's been a couple of days, and I think this is going to be the end here of the rebuild for the John Deere D170. So there's a couple of things I wanted to show just before we start the motor. First was just to show what I was talking about with this canister type filter. So in the end, this is what I bought for the motor, or for the tractor. It's called an Easy Change 30-second oil change system. And the part number is AUC 12916. We picked this up at a big box store. I guess the idea here is that it contains the oil filter and some oil as well, all in one. So I picked this up, installed it, and we'll go with that for a while. One other thing I'd like to do is just make a correction from, I think, part 2. I think I showed you the incorrect place to put the throttle cable, so I'm just going to show you the correct place to put the throttle cable. I'm just going to quickly remove the hood. And if I can get your attention just right down here. So originally we had attached the throttle cable to this area right here on the throttle plate or mechanism, but in reality where it has to be located is right here. And the problem that I was seeing is that whenever I thought I was choking the motor to start it, I had the throttle at full idle and it wasn't starting. And if I put it down, or let me just show you what I mean over here. So this is the throttle control for the tractor. Here's the area where you would put the selector switch or selector lever to start, to choke it. And here's low idle, right? As per the markings here on the dashboard. So I had it installed incorrectly, so as I was putting it down to full idle, that was the full choke. And when I thought I was putting it to full choke, I was bringing the motor to full idle. Okay, so that's not correct. So now, down here, this is where you want to put the throttle. The throttle cable is this area right here and not here. Okay, so that's where you have to put it for this type of engine with this model of tractor. It could very well be that for your tractor and for your motor, the position might be different, but I just wanted to give you a perspective of where it should be for this particular make and model of tractor. All right, so now we'll put the hood back on and reconnect the lights. Check my oil level. My oil level is perfect. I'm at the correct place. I have some fuel, so I'll just put some hearing protection on, and then we'll see if it starts. So full choke. Well, there you have it. Looks like our D170 lawn tractor is ready to go. We did a quick grass cutting test and it works perfect. That motor sounds amazing. So we'll be able to put lots of use with that tractor to cut our property or cut our grass here. So we'll use the D170 and we'll use the D140, or my son will use the D140. So together we should be able to cut our two and 2.5 acre property here. So I thought that we would end the video with a nice parade of all the John Deeres that we have. We've got the D170, the 345. We made a video with the 345 with that engine replacement. You might see that in the future. We've got the old 318. We basically did a mild restoration on that. And then finally the D140 right here at the end. I guess that's going to be it for now. Thanks for tuning in for these 3-part series to rebuild that D170. It was a good project and we're ready for grass cutting season. So we'll see you in the next one.